SledgeHammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by the beautiful Jennifer Nangle. Jennifer, how you doing today?
I'm great. After that introduction, I'm happy to be here.
I am so happy to have you. For those of you that don't know, Jennifer is Malvolia, the queen of the screams. If you haven't checked her out, the link is down here in the description. She's working her ass off to be the queen of the screams. And if you have a story that you can send her to make her scream, please feel free to try. She'll tell your stories for you. So talk about Malvolia. You just did the Halloween special, and now there's a certain scene I would like to talk about. Check this out real quick, guys. Now, with that scene, how was that with the blood, and how did you do all that? How'd it go?
It was everything that I wanted and more, but it was extremely sticky.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
It's funny. I put this thing up at one point that said, "Man, all I want is to be killed in a horror movie. Is that too much to ask?" And I had like 4 friends text me like, "Dude, you don't want it. You're just going to be sticky and gross the whole time." That's all it turns out to be. But I'm a rebel. I still want it.
Oh yeah.
That's still my dream.
Well, come to LA, come to Malvolia land. I'll happily kill you. Yes.
Oh, I would love for you to kill me. I would love nothing more. You could be my first. That's what I'm hoping for.
Excellent. Okay, we'll make it happen.
I also want to talk about you also have been in the films In the Night, or is In That Night, right?
That night. Mm-hmm.
That Night, and also The Last Roommate.
Yes.
Now you were with Sean Whalen in one of these films, correct?
Neither of those. No.
Okay.
I was in Ugly Sweater Party with Sean Whalen.
There we go. Ugly Sweater Party with Sean Whalen, Felissa Rose, and Charles Chudabala. My good friend Charles.
My bestie, yes.
Yes, this would not be happening without. So Charles, thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much.
Yes.
So what was it like work? I mean, like you said, Charles is one of your best friends. So does that make it easier to work with him, because of how close you guys are? Or?
It's super easy, and plus I'm sure after talking with him for like an hour, you see like how easygoing he is, how positive he is, how he just rejuvenates the energy in the room so easily. So like, even if I'm not using him as an actor, sometimes I just want him to be there because he just lifts everybody's spirits and just really makes the atmosphere so much more enjoyable. So yes, it's very
I completely agree. He's one of those guys that I've had people on the show. I've not had a bad guest. I'm so blessed, but I have not had one bad guest. But he's one of those people that I can just text and we'll have a conversation, just, "Hey man, how you doing? Good. How are you?" And he actually he loves holding the conversation and being a part of the conversation. Makes me feel important. So Charles, man, I love you. Please continue to be you. You're a great guy and a great friend. So we both appreciate you so much.
Yes, I will definitely agree with that. Yes.
So let me ask you this. We're talking about all the things that you've done. I know things are kind of crazy right now with COVID and quarantine and all that going on. Do you have anything coming up that you can talk about, or?
Just the rest of the season of Malvolia. I am attached to a good handful of projects where some of them have been pushed back to the end of the year, which we're already at the end of the year, so I have no idea what's going on. And then I have a lot of them that were pushed to next year, which again, it's just kind of an open-ended, like, 2021, we'll start filming, but it's like, well, when in 2021?
Right.
But
yeah, and I guess that's kind of out of your guys' hands right now too, because we don't know what's going to happen with everything. So the most important thing is, I know it's hard right now with you guys not working. That's your lifeline. That's how you make money. If oil dried up, there'd be a lot of dads out there that couldn't feed their kids too. So I completely get it. My wife's a respiratory therapist. I love how even in death, your people are wearing their masks. So it's very important for you guys to stay safe, and that way you can keep entertaining us forever. So thank you for staying safe. And I appreciate everything that you do for us too. A lot of people, you guys are in show business, so it's you guys are there to entertain us, but you can't have any political beliefs. You can't have, any, and it's such a bummer. You guys get a lot of scrutiny, and you're my friends, so it bums me out. It's one of those things where I know how hard you guys work after being in contact, like with you and with Charles, Michael Colomb, Brantley, talking to you guys as often as I do. I feel for you guys, because people are just like, oh, they're actors and actresses. They just entertain us. Just stay out there and do your filming. And it's not like that, man. Your guys' life is you're nonstop, always going, never sleeping. And you're expected to be happy all the time. You're expected to never have a bad day, or else you're a bitch. I'm not calling you that, I promise. Or, you're an asshole or something like that. So I definitely understand. I have a bigger respect for everybody that's in show business now compared to what I did before I started doing this. So I appreciate you. And I just hope that you can stay safe so I can see these projects when 2021 comes into fruition.
Yes. Fingers are crossed. Definitely staying safe. Washing my hands. Happy birthday twice. So we good.
Yep. And again, I definitely want to emphasize this. If you guys have not checked out Malvolia, the Queen of the Screams, it's down here in the description. Make sure you're checking that out. Make sure you're subscribing. She works her ass off, and it's so much fun. You will have a blast watching it. If that scene I just showed you didn't pique your interest, I don't know what's going to, because when I got to sit down and watch this Halloween special, it was really an honest, and I waited. You know how hard it was for me to wait till today, so everything was fresh on my mind. So, but we are here today, love, to the first horror movie you ever watched. What got you really started down this dark path? And for you, it was
The Gate. Yes,
I
terrifying.
love talking about this movie. And now I want to ask, when you're doing your Malvolia or you're doing your other stuff, do you think The Gate had an influence on the way that you are as an actress, the way that you are as a performer? Do you think that any of that is attributed to what The Gate started for you?
Oh, I'm sure it's there. Maybe I don't realize it now because it's such and such years later, or ever since I experienced that. But like, basically, when I was watching that movie, it was a hot summer day in New England, and we only had one air conditioner, and it was in the living room. And so I was allowed to sleep in the living room because it was so hot, and we could sleep there. But I was told, don't watch the TV. My dad's going to watch a scary movie. Don't watch it. It'll scare you. Well, of course I peeked and I watched, and it terrified the life out of me. And what made it so scary for me was how real I made it in my life, because we had a garden out back, and I just envisioned these little creatures coming out of the garden in the back and walking over to our screen door and just like knocking on the door or getting their arms stuck and then seeing the little things slither away. I mean, like, I was terrified. I swear I saw them. So yes, I'm sure that definitely has some impact in some of the things that I do. Yes.
And we always make it scarier when we're kids, because especially with our first horror movie, we've never really experienced anything like this. Right. So to go into it and finally get that real, feeling of fear and terror, we always amp it up way harder than it actually is. Like we talk about, oh, I watched it as an adult and it wasn't as bad. Look, the movie didn't change. We did. That movie's still scary. We just grew up and got desensitized to all of it.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. Yeah.
So I want to know, how old were you the first time that you watched this? You said you were with your dad. Do you know around about age you were when?
I had to have been about 7, and now I'm aging myself. Come on now, Ken. Can't let that out there. But I was around 7.
Hey. You could have been 7 3 weeks ago and just watched it for the first time.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yep.
So we talked a little bit about a scene that affected you, and this scene, everybody I think that watches this movie, this is one of the scenes that always comes to them. When the hole finally opens and he's given that spell, and he falls down in the hole.
I can still hear them. There's one more part here. Then they should be gone. Don't get so close. It's okay. It's working. Get back. Don't be such a...
And then you end up seeing the creatures for the first time.
Ah! Ah!
So what was that like for you experiencing that scene for the first time?
Frightening. Those things are terrifying. Have we seen those? And they all look alike. They have this ugly smug on their face. Like, they're scary. They can merge into one. Like, I was just like, for weeks on end, that's all I could think of was that just like face and just them crawling on up and how strong they could be. And yeah, no bueno.
And it's all done
no.
practically.
Yeah, which is amazing. Yes.
Even the kid's reaction, when the things start coming at him and fighting him and biting him, like that kid did great. All the cast in this movie in general is just awesome.
Agreed.
This is one of those movies, which sucks, is this movie doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, I've been lucky enough to talk about The Gate a couple times on the show, but it's one of those that in the annals of history gets really overlooked. And to me, I put this right up there with the horror version of Labyrinth. Like I really connect, maybe it's because I watched them around the same period, but I really put Labyrinth and The Gate together. And I think that that's an awesome double feature that everybody should watch in a night, would be Labyrinth and The Gate together. So
yeah.
Another question I have for you, when you think about The Gate, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Stephen Dorff. And his little red sweatshirt.
That's another thing. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Stephen Dorff, he was a little man in this movie. He was a little boy in this movie.
He was a little kid,
and his face hasn't changed at all.
Not at all. I want some of that Kool-Aid. He's going to share that with me.
Yeah, no joke. That's the first thing I said when on a rewatch, because I always rewatch these films before we talk about them, so that way I don't look stupid. And watch it, I'm like, God, Stephen Dorff has just gotten taller. That's it.
That's it. And yeah, not much else except that he got rid of that bowl haircut, thank God. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, he looks the same.
So I'm gonna be thinking about Stephen Dorff's bowl haircut all night.
Bowl haircut. I know. I just put it out there.
Coolest punk rock band of all time, Stephen Dorff's bowl haircut.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about your first horror movie, which was The Gate. Now I want to go scream on you here for a second. What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Hands down is Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. The original, not the remake, just the original, black and white. Yes.
Sure. Well, I mean, you want to talk about a movie that had a huge impact on people, but not only had a huge impact on people because of a twist ending or the story. And I think, and this is just my opinion, I don't need to be crucified for it, I think this is the first movie that really, really, really used the score to enhance the horror in a film. It's one of those things, like, obviously with the silent films, you had, the music that was important, with like Nosferatu or the Phantom of the Opera. But this one just straight up using the score to, like that is so, I mean, it's universal. Everybody knows that.
He also kind of played with the media too, where, he made all those rules, like you can't come in halfway through the movie, like you have to come in like when it starts. Like he had all these rules, so that makes the curiosity even bigger. Yeah. Like he was social mediaing it before it was even like a thing, like it's just priceless. It's just priceless what he did and the hysteria that he did, for sure.
Well, and Hitchcock is a genius. I mean, you look at everything Hitchcock did back then, and Hitchcock is one of those names that you hear often being talked about a lot, and a lot of people even overrate Hitchcock. But the thing is, he's well deserving of all the accolades and all the praise that he gets, because I always looked at Psycho as the first slasher. To me, that is where slasher started. Some people will say Halloween, but I think that we wouldn't have Halloween would it not have been for Norman Bates. I mean, and Anthony Perkins' portrayal in that movie, even the fly scene at the end, when you get that little smile, like it's perfect.
Just eerie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It is.
Not overdone, not crazy big, just very realistic and in the moment, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think that's one of the first horror movies with a big twist to it, where, it's him. It's, Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Psycho, but
Which you should stop and go and watch it right now for sure.
Yeah, right now you need to see it if you've never seen this before. But I mean, look at the impact that Psycho had. Psycho is one of the only films that I can think of where they did a remake and they literally did it scene by scene. I mean, sure, they modernized it a little bit, but it was just really scene by scene. See, I'm unlike you. I don't hate it.
Okay.
I don't think it's bad, but I think I would file it under unnecessary because if
What's
I'm going
the
to do
point? Yeah.
right, if I'm going to do a remake, to me personally, I would do it in the vein of the new Child's Play remake, where I'm taking the original idea, but I'm completely making it my own. I'm a big fan of the new Child's Play remake. I thought it was very well done. I know. I do have some complaints. Like I don't like the way Chucky looked. But to me, I think this movie, more than anything, the new Child's Play, I think it's more of an homage to Charles Lee Ray and Brad Dourif. Now, hear me out. The reason I say that is I think that Charles Lee Ray and Brad Dourif were such an iconic with that Chucky universe. You couldn't have someone else come in and play Charles Lee Ray. You know, that's something that you can't do. So let's take that and let's pay honor to him by not even mentioning Charles Lee Ray. This isn't that Chucky. This is a different Chucky in a different universe. And I thought the kills were great. I thought it was graphic. It was funny. It was, I hate to say hip because it shows my age, but it was hip. Like I really enjoyed it a lot. I'm one of those people that don't think remakes are inherently bad. I think when done right, they can be very good. But I'm also one of those people you'll never hear say, "Oh, that sucks" or "That's stupid." Like if you're out there making art, good for you. I'm happy for you. Yeah. Even if it's not for me, great job for you. Yeah. So we always.
I will say,
go ahead.
They could have done the 98 Psycho like they did with Cabin Fever. Like, yeah, they have the same script, the same idea, just two different directors, two different visions. Like, I would have been more open to that than doing scene for scene, shot for shot, whatever.
And looking back on it, it's funny because Vince Vaughn, for those of you that don't know, Vince Vaughn played Norman Bates in that Psycho. And there's another film I want to talk about just real quick called Domestic Disturbance that came out around the same time with John Travolta and Vince Vaughn. And Vince Vaughn was the stepdad in that movie, and he was a serial killer psychopath. And I never took Vince Vaughn seriously as a comedian at first because the first roles I had ever seen him in were Psycho and Domestic Disturbance.
Oh, wow.
So I see him, in Wedding Crashers, Dodgeball, all these. I'm like, that guy's a killer, man. Like, I was young at the time. So like, this guy's not funny. What's everybody thinking? Which obviously he's a comedic genius, but it's just one of those things where I didn't see it at first because I had only known him through the dramas and horrors that I had seen him in.
Oh, wow. I've never heard that. So that's pretty amazing. That's really cool to actually hear. Yeah, that little swap. Yeah.
So I do always end these with the same thing. We end them with a skull count. We're going back to the gate. 0 skulls being the worst, 5 being the best. You can use half and quarter skulls. What would you rate the gate on a scale of 0 to 5 skulls?
I would give it a 4. I mean, I'm super fan of the gate. Like I'll rewatch it whenever I can. Not the gate 2. No.
Oh, I know. I never even knew there was a gate 2 until I started doing this channel. I swear I never ever knew it. And then I went back and started rewatching these films and I seen the gate 2. I seen about half of it and I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I actually stumbled upon the gate 2, like I would say about a month ago. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. Oh no. So the first one, I definitely will give 4 skulls for sure, because it's a great ride. It's practical effects, y'all. Yeah. Like that's great. So, and little Stevie Dwarf.
Oh man, you guys got to check out The Gate if you haven't seen it. It's such a fun movie to watch. Again, now that we're older and we're desensitized, it's not as scary as it was when we were kids, but I'm telling you, it's a fun ride. Even as an adult, I've watched it probably 3 times in the last year, and each time I have fun with it. So
it's a fun ride. Yeah,
absolutely. Jennifer, don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. Keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.